Alright, hello everybody, welcome to our lesson here, Battle for France and Great Britain. This is for our unit, The Road to World War II. So our objectives and standards: to summarize the events leading up to the fall of France, explain the significance of the Battle of Dunkirk, and analyze the fighting during the Battle of Britain. If you would please take a moment to read over the standards there as well. Alright, so our desired result, what were the outcomes of the fighting for France and Great Britain? So Germany invades France. Germany moved quickly to invade France after it captured Belgium. France and their defenses at the Maginot Line proved to be very ineffective. We mentioned that in our most recent lesson as well from a couple of days ago. So what Hitler has his troops do is they move through a wooded region in the northern part of France known as the Ardennes. Okay, now the British and the French thought that this area would be too rough for troops and tanks to get through. But Hitler and his troops and his tanks are able to move through the Ardennes pretty easily and pretty effectively. So that's how they're going to be able to kind of sneak into France without France really being prepared for an invasion. After they invaded France, they began marching towards Paris. So this map here shows you how they were able to do this. So we have the Nazi troops or German troops in Belgium, since they'd already captured Belgium. So they're able to move into France from those areas, right? Okay. And then we have the German troops coming up this way as well. So they're marching towards Paris, pushing towards the center of the country, kind of the northern center part of the country there. And the German offensive is able to trap fleeing British and French soldiers at a location known as Dunkirk. And that's the next battle we're going to talk about here. So the Battle of Dunkirk. French, British, and Belgian troops were trapped between the English Channel and the German army. I don't know if many of you know, but there was a movie that came out this past year or so called Dunkirk. I saw it myself. Pretty good movie, but talks all about what we're talking about here. So take a chance to look at that if you're able to, and maybe your parents let you watch it as well. There's an emergency evacuation of these troops, of these English, French, and Belgian, excuse me, troops, that is put in place by all types of ships. And I'll show you a couple of pictures here on the next slide here that explains a little bit better. But they actually had many ships that came in, not just military ships, but civilian ships, fishing ships, all types of ships were called in from England and places like that to try and evacuate these troops off the beaches before they were slaughtered by the Germans. Now, thousands are going to be rescued, but it was a tough loss for Allied forces because, again, the Allied forces felt like they were able to, defeat the Germans, and this isn't going to be true at the beginning of World War II. So Hitler and his forces then are able to focus on capturing the rest of the French countryside with very little resistance. So here are some pictures. This one on the left here. This is an actual photograph of Allied troops evacuating the beaches. As you can see, they actually used boats to make bridges to go out into the water to get to other ships to try and escape, the German forces as they were coming up behind them. And then this picture on the right-hand side, this is actually more of an artist rendition of what the Battle of Dunkirk was like. You'll see all the smoke and the flames, a couple of bombs going off here, but you can see, of the men running into rowboats and trying to, escape this very chaotic scene. Again, here's so many other different ships too that different ships of different shapes and sizes that came to the rescue of these Allied troops. You can see all these Allied troops on the beaches as well, waiting and hoping for their next turn before the Germans got to them. Again, and even in the sky here, you can see what looks like a German airplane, I believe, maybe a British airplane, but German airplanes were flying above ahead, too, shooting down on these soldiers as they waited to be rescued. So, not a very good thing to go through, a very terrifying event to go through. And again, like we said, it was kind of like almost a disappointing loss for the Allied forces who had expected to, easily defeat Germany, and that just didn't turn out to be true. A few days later, Italy will invade France from the south, and Germany will attack from the north. They will attack Paris, and on June 22nd, 1940, France will surrender to the Axis powers. The Axis powers will become Japan, Germany, and Italy. Here's a picture of Hitler here standing in Paris, right in front of the Eiffel Tower. I'm not quite sure who the other two gentlemen are, but either way, this is a very world-renowned photo of Hitler standing in Paris with the Eiffel Tower. Germany will then control the northern part of France, while a puppet government set up by the Nazis will run the southern part of France. This will be known as the Vichy government. And a French general named Charles de Gaulle, he will actually flee to England and state that France could still win the war, and will try to run some operations from England to try and take France back from the Germans. Now, in the summer of 1940, following the fall of France, Germany began to put together a fleet of ships to invade Great Britain. They used the French coast to plan their attack. However, Germany is unable to match the naval strength of the British, so what they decided to do is they decided to launch an air attack instead. So they decided to bomb Britain, and like we said, the Luftwaffe, like they had been doing in Poland, the Luftwaffe began bombing both day and night, and their goal was to take control of the skies of Great Britain. Here's a picture here of looks like a family or a group of people sitting in a rubble of what was probably their home or neighborhood. So they bombed cities such as London, and they also bombed airfields. Many people were killed, including innocent civilians. And again, this went on day and night for many months. So Britain battles back. The bombing continued through the summer and fall of 1940, but the British are going to fight back, though, especially with the help of a new invention called radar. Pilots will be able to track German planes as they are, coming into British territory, so they're able to know to prepare by getting people into bomb shelters or air raid shelters, and they're also able to launch their own attacks and get their own planes into the air in time to fight back against the Germans before they're able to bomb. So the British people are basically going to watch this battle as it rages on the skies above them. I'll show you an article. And this here is a picture of people in Great Britain using radar during the Battle of Great Britain and even during the war. But just kind of gives you an example. This kind of gives you an example of what work they were doing with radar as well. Artist rendering here of what it kind of looked like. So down here we can picture maybe as like Great Britain, the island of Great Britain. And again, this is just an artist rendering of it. So here we would have the British airplanes that are fighting above the skies, fighting above the country, and then over here in the black plains, these would be the German planes. So again, this is an artist rendering of, what was going on in the Battle of Britain. So the Battle of Britain was mainly an air war with pilots fighting over, cities and neighborhoods and things like that. So that's what the Battle of Britain was, and Great Britain will be able to hold out, even though they're going to be bombed many more times, and there's going to be a large loss of life. Great Britain will be able to hang on to not surrender to the Germans. Alright, so that's all I have for this lesson. Hope you have a good rest of your day or night. Please try your best on the questions that follow, and I'll hopefully see and talk to you guys soon. Alright, our closure. What were the outcomes of fighting for France and Great Britain? So tell me a little bit about what happened with the battle for France, the battle of Great Britain, the battle of Britain, and things like that. Again, what were the outcomes of fighting for France and Great Britain? That'll help you answer your question. Try your best on the questions that follow, okay? Try your best on those questions that follow. Please let me know of any questions or concerns and hope to talk to you soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.